Hi Year 3, I hope you all had a lovely weekend. Welcome to Monday's reading session. Let's find out what our Viper skill is going to be this week. It's retrieval. This week we're going to be retrieving, taking information from non-fiction text to answer questions. And the non-fiction text that I've chosen this week is this non-fiction book all about magic, because I've been so impressed with how some of you have already sent through some magic tricks that you've been practicing to the Year 3 email address, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about magic myself. Before we delve into the book, let's have a look at some of the vocabulary that we might come across when we read this today. Let's read the tricky words together that we might see in today's text. Equipment, various, audience. Have a look at the word performer. What is the root word? Well done if you said perform. And the ER suffix has been added to change it to performer. And can you spot a spelling rule in the word changing? They've added the ing suffix, and well done if you've spotted that they've had to take the E off the root word change before adding ing. Now let's have a look at some of the magic vocabulary in today's text. Escape, dramatic, and dazzle. Let's do say it, shout it, whisper it, clap it, and act it for dazzle. Say it, dazzle. Shout it, dazzle. Whisper it, dazzle. Clap it, dazzle. How many syllables? Well done if you said 2. And act it. How could you dazzle your audience by doing a magic trick? And we've also got a new exciting word today, which is sleight, as in the magician showed sleight of hand. It is a skill. Sleight of hand is a set of secret, skillful actions used to hide what a magician is really doing in order to complete a trick. Let's say it, sleight, shout it, sleight, whisper it, sleight, clap it, sleight. Just one syllable in sleight. Act it. How could you show sleight of hand when doing a magic trick? Now it's my turn to read some of the text. I'd like to find out today about what sort of equipment magicians have to use. I know that's going to be called tools of the trade, and in a non-fiction book I can use the contents page to help me. Can you spot what page I need to go to find out about tools of the trade? Well done if you've spotted that I need to go to page 92. Let's have a look. Tools of the trade. It doesn't matter what tools magicians use to dazzle their audience. The best performers can make magic from almost anything. However, there are a few pieces of equipment that all magicians should have in their box of tricks. Silks. These colourful handkerchiefs are small enough to be scrunched up and hidden in various places. Magicians use silks for tricks that involve production, as pulling them out of the air looks dramatic. Cups and balls. A favourite of street performers, magicians have been dazzling audiences with various cups and balls routines for years. A deck of cards. A standard deck of cards contains 52 playing cards that divides into 4 suits: diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades. Each suit is made up of 9 numbered cards: a jack, queen, king, and an ace. Rope. In addition to being used by escape artists, rope is used for many magic tricks. Rope tricks usually involve changing a rope's length, joining pieces of rope together, or cutting a length of rope into pieces and making it whole again. And here's a fact. A lot of more advanced magic tricks require special equipment, such as trick card decks, coins that bend in half, and boxes with secret compartments. Cards. Playing cards are probably the most famous tool that a magician has at their disposal. Magicians love them because they're small enough to manipulate, but also have lots of different uses. Linking rings. A stage magic classic. Linking rings are a number of metal hoops that pass through each other and link up to create chains. Magicians have been performing tricks with linking rings for hundreds of years. Coins. a favourite tool of sleight of hand experts. Coins can be used for many amazing tricks. However, a lot of coin tricks can be very difficult and so take a lot of practice to master. We're not going to answer any questions about the text today. That's going to come later in the week, but we're going to practice a really important skill today which can help us with retrieving information. When we're asked a question about the text, do you think we always need to read every single word on the page again? You're right that we don't. We can actually look for key words to help us find the right part of the text to find that information. And that's called skimming and scanning. It's when you go from the top of the page across, looking at the words quickly, without reading them all, looking for an important word that you think is going to help you answer the question. If I was asked a question about how magicians use coins and I needed to skim and scan for some information about coins, do you think I'd need to read every single word on this page? Or could I skim and scan quickly looking for the keyword coins? Here it is. I've spotted the word coins, so I know I'll be able to retrieve the information I need from this section of the text. As well as skimming and scanning to find words in books, search and find books like Where's Wally can be really useful for practicing your skimming and scanning skills. So today, your first activity is to have a look at a circus scene and see if you can skim and scan across and down the page to find the things listed here. For 1 chili, someone about to cut some balloons. For 2 chili, a robot. And for 3 chili, a tiny shrimp. That one's very difficult to spot. You might need to zoom in if you're on a small device to look really, really closely. Have fun, see if you can spot those things by skimming and scanning across the page. Press pause if you need to, and then when you think you've found them, press play again and we'll see if we can find the answers together. Okay, how did you get on? Let's have a little look. The 1 chili was to skim and scan across the page to see if you could spot someone cutting some balloons with a pair of shears. Let's see, what could I look for? I could look for the balloons. There they are. Look, that man is cutting the balloons with his pair of shears. I don't think the clown's going to be very happy about that. The 2 chili was to spot a robot. Hopefully you managed to skim and scan across the page and spot that the robot is right here in the middle. And finally, this one was very, very tricky, especially if you're watching on a smaller device. But if you skimmed and scanned really carefully, you might have spotted this tiny shrimp down here. And for your second activity today, now we are going to skim and scan and see if we can find some words. And if you've got someone in your house, either a parent, a carer, or a brother or sister who might be able to help you, that would be really helpful because your task is to choose any book from your house, find a page, and ask someone to pick a word for you. And how quickly can you skim and scan across the page to find that word? Perhaps once you've found one, you could try and challenge them as well. Good luck. Well done, Year 3, for practicing your retrieval skills. Tomorrow we'll put those into practice by answering some questions after looking at the text. Now, before we finish today, I really enjoyed last week listening to Miss Cole read this story, Fizzlebert Stump, the boy who ran away from the circus and joined the library. So I'm going to read a little bit more of it to you today. Fizz's other teachers included the Twitchery sisters, Mary and Maureen, the human trampolines, a pair of acrobats who took him for geography, Captain Foxdingle, the lion tamer, who gave him art classes, and Bongo Bongerton, one of the clowns, who gave him lessons in English, which was awkward, which is to say a bit silly, because it was a mime. And if you don't know what a mime is, I just keep quiet about it. This morning, however, Fizz had to go over to Dr. Surprise's caravan for a history lesson. Dr. Surprise was the circus's mysterious, magical mind reader, horrendous, horripulating hypnotist, and incredible, invisible illusionist. His job title was possibly the longest and most impressive in the whole circus, but few actually understood what it all meant. When Fizzlebert knocked on Dr. Surprise's door, Dr. Surprise was surprised. "What? Who is it?" he shouted in his thin, high voice through the open window. "It's me, Fizz," Fizz shouted back. "Oh, heck," shouted Dr. Surprise. Is it that time already?" I think so," said Fizz, secretly hoping that maybe it somehow wasn't. He liked Dr. Surprise, but he didn't like history. Okay, hang on, I'm just getting up. Give me a minute," the man squeaked. Fizz waited, scuffing his shoes in the dust and twiddling his thumbs. In years gone by, thumb twiddling was a popular way to pass the time, but these days it has rather fallen out of fashion. It just proves that Fizz hardly ever hung around with kids his own age. They'd have told him pretty sharpish that thumb twiddling was old hat, and they'd have probably laughed at him like the kids the night before had when they learnt his name. But Fizz had grown up surrounded by grown-ups who were 20, 30, even 40 years older than him, and he picked up a few of their habits. They didn't mind thumb twiddling at all. In fact, they would talk proudly of the days when one of their riggers won a bronze medal for it in the 1976 All-Circus Olympic-ish Games. Riggers are the men who build the big top and take it down again every time the circus moves to a new town. And as a rule, they're tough, burly men covered with tattoos. Tattoos are like drawings, but done by people who can't find any paper. Anyway, if you've never twiddled your thumbs, then you don't know what you're missing. It's a brilliant thing. I do it. I expect your parents probably do it too. Certainly your grandparents. Next time you see them, you should ask for a quick lesson. It'll only take a minute. It's dead simple. You just join your hands together in front of you, leaving the thumbs untangled, and then you sort of let them chase each other around in circles. Easy, see? You can do it for hours and hours, and it's absolutely free and doesn't use any electricity, and so is good for the environment. Fizz, however, only had to do it for 2 minutes and 46 seconds before Dr. Surprise opened the door and invited him in. Dr. Surprise was a tall, thin man. He wore a very dark suit, sharp and tight and oily, which squeaked ever so slightly when he moved. The stiff white cuffs of his shirt poked out of the bottoms of his sleeves and almost hid his hands from sight. What you could see of his hands was covered by thin black silk gloves. He was bald except for a few long strands of hair that grew from somewhere near the back and looped around the dome of his head several times before drooping pointily downwards just above his left eye. His moustache was impressively curly, a deep midnight black, and from a particularly expensive Christmas cracker. In his right eye, he clutched a monocle, that's like half a pair of glasses in case you didn't know, that glinted whenever he moved his head, which he didn't do very often at all. On his feet were a pair of large pink fluffy slippers shaped like rabbits. When he went on stage, he changed into smarter shoes, but right now he was off duty. He smelt ever so slightly of wax. "So," he said when they had sat down at the little table they used for lessons, "what are we to study today?" "I think," said Fizz, "that we just got up to the Wars of the Roses." "Ha-ha!" shouted the doctor in his high warble. "I knew that." Well, he was a mind reader after all, so it wasn't all that surprising that he knew. "So, what happens next?" asked Fizz. I think there was another war. Didn't you read the next chapter in the history book?" "Well, no, because you set fire to it last week. Don't you remember?" "Set fire to it?" "Yes, you were showing me how to do the trick where you make sparks come out of your fingers." Fizz always tried to get the doctor to teach him tricks. It was better than learning history and probably more useful too. "Ah, Brilliant Brewster's Bright Bedazzler." "That's it," Fizz said, "and that set fire to the book." Fizz didn't mention that he'd accidentally left the book out just where they were doing the trick. He liked books, as I've already said, but not all books. "Yes," said Fizz, "and then you said not to panic because you'd get another one." "I did?" asked Dr. Surprise cautiously. "Yes, you were going to go shopping." "Ah, well, I never quite got round to it. I've been busy, you see." "Busy?" "Yes, I've been thinking about setting fire to my hat. A tall blaze of flames winding up from within. What do you think?" "Isn't that dangerous?" Fizz asked. "Oh, no, not at all. I've mostly worked it out. I lift my hat, turn it over, hold it away from me, run my hand over it, and whoosh! A pillar of flame bursts 10 feet into the air. Spectacular! It's basically the same as the Brewster's backfiring blaster bomb, but on a larger scale. Only," he added, "I must remember to do the fire trick after I've pulled the rabbit out. Otherwise," dun dun dun, and we'll leave it there for today.